Hello, my name is Connie. I'm with Craft Shack. I am going to do a tray with some rice paper tonight. I don't know if I've ever seen it done before on the internet. I've been looking for it, but I cannot seem to find it. I've found some rice paper on DIY DIY struggle, and that she has all kinds of rice paper, and she has napkin bundles and rub-on transfers, and she's very reasonable in prices. And I am gonna do this tray. It's with less resin. It's with 10-hour resin. I usually use the 4-hour resin, but I wanted more time with the work time, so I'm going to use this. And I've got glitter on here. This time I'm going to use glitter. I'm going in and out with the grooves of the tray, and I've already got the rice paper cut out. I'll show you that in just a second. But I had a bird ready to fill, but I had the resin filled up so close. It's a 200-gram mold, and I exactly poured 200 grams. I did not pour an extra 10 grams for that little birdie. I should have, but I didn't. I knew I needed 10 more grams, and I thought I was going to have more, but I didn't. And you'll see at the end of this video that there was just nothing left. And I'm spreading out the glitter right here. The glitter. I want to make sure it's in all those little cracks and crevices. I want to make sure it's not going to seep out. And I'm going to pour that resin out. I've already had it resting. The bubbles are all out of it. Hopefully, by the time I get to it, all the bubbles will be completely out. I did mix it very slow. There was a few micro bubbles in it, and you'll see that in just a second when I lift it up. But once I pour it in, those micro bubbles just disappeared. This silicone rubber brush, if you look close, you can see the micro bubbles in there, but there's not many. If you want me to show you how to mix resin, I'll have a video for it. If you want to see that, leave a comment in the messages or the comment section. I will do that. When you pour your resin in your molds, you want to pour it slowly. And when you want to mix your resin, you want to mix it very slowly, so you don't mix in more bubbles, because that's when you possibly will mix your bubbles in there. Because when you think of it this way, when you stir a cake mix, you stir in bubbles. And when you stir in frosting, you stir them bubbles in there. Well, when you stir resin, you don't want bubbles, because then bubbles stay in your resin. And when you get bubbles in there, you barely can get it out unless you have one of those pressurized machines, and those things are expensive. And I'm pushing in the glitter. A few of them escaped, and I'm pouring in some more. As you can see, I'm pouring it in pretty slow. And I want to make sure. There's a few glitters that got away, and I'm pulling it out. I think I had a little puppy fur. I have a dog, and those puppy furs get everywhere. I do cover my projects with a plastic container that I bought from Dollar Tree, and this is a cello that I got off of the DIY Struggles website. It was on a great big piece of rice paper. It was full of pictures, and it was called the Musical Evergreen Botanical, if you're interested in that. I'm pressing it down and making sure there's no bubbles underneath that picture. I did use a water brush to cut that out of the paper, the rice paper, so it did not have any harsh lines on it. You can get a water brush at Dollar Tree. It's a brush that you fill up with water, and the tip of it soaks up. It's like a little sponge kind of, but it's very, if you've ever used one, it's not really a sponge. It's a hard tip brush that soaks up the water, and it just kind of barely comes out, and it acts like a paintbrush. And you can use a wet paintbrush for this technique if you want to do this. And you just get a little bit, maybe 4 inches at a time while you're doing this, and just tear it, and that way you won't have a harsh line. And because it's hard to cover up and make it blend in if you have a harsh line. It's the same when you decoupage something. You want to have a tore line. You can tear it, but it's hard to tear an exact line when you're tearing in between pictures and trying to get an exact spot. You can cut it, but then, like I'm saying, you don't want a cut line, you want a tore line. So I do use this water brush. And I've got another sheet of background musical instruments. Not instruments, but musical instrument, musical notes that Brandy from the DIY Struggle sent me. That here I'm going to show you the bird that I'm going to put on this tray. I'm going to fill it up. I did get this mold from Temu, if anybody's interested. The tray is about 9 inches long, and it's about, I would say, 5 to 6 inches wide, and it's probably 1.5 inches deep. It is like a bowl deep. It is like a bowl shape. It's you'll see at the very end of the video. Here comes the excuse the puppy hair on my wrist brace. I fell last week and I sprained my wrist. I almost thought I broke my wrist, but I didn't. I just I hope I didn't. Anyway, I'm going to the doctor Monday. I'm letting this soak up. I'm going to just let this sit for a minute, and I'm going to poke it in there a little bit. See how it just soaks up the resin? It's going to sink in there, and it's going to, I'm pushing out all the resin. There's no bubbles. As you can see, there's no bubbles. I've got more resin to go on top. It's already in the cup. The glitter's not moving. I was afraid it was going to move, but it didn't. I think one did escape, but it's in between there, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to roll the brush. This is a silicone brush, if I didn't already say that. I did get that from Temu. I think I repeated myself there. It came in a set of 6. And it's still movable. As you can see, I can still move it around. It's only been about maybe 11, 12 minutes since I first started. I already had the papers cut out. It took me a little while to cut those out, but I didn't want you all to have to wait on that. It's a good idea to have a pattern for that. That way you won't mess up and have to recut, because your pattern is a one-time deal. Your actual piece is a one-time deal. Your pattern can be recut. And you want to make sure it's facing the right way, because the music notes have to be facing the top of the tray, not the back of the tray, and you're looking at the back of the tray. That's why I put the music notes on the bottom, rather than where you're looking at now, which is the top of the bottom, if that makes sense. And always wipe your tools off, because that stuff, your resin just dries like a piece of glass, and it will not come off. Always wipe your stuff off. And the tools, wipe them off. They say you can wipe them the next day, but wipe them off when you are done working with this stuff. That's why I use throwaway cups. Those silicone cups that they say, buy this, buy that, buy that, buy that. The only reason why I have those cups is if you have a big mold. These cups, they're not quite big enough for the big molds, but they're good for these small molds that are less than 240 grams. But this mold particularly is a 200-gram mold. I do have a video on how to measure molds, and we are almost done with this. I'm gonna top this off, and then I'm gonna pop it out of the mold here in a few minutes. After it's done curing, I'm gonna put it on the heat mat. I'm pouring this in. I'm not doming it because I don't have to dome it. I've got just enough resin poured, and you'll see I'm going to scrape off, and it's just enough. I mean, it's just enough to fill that mold. I don't have enough of that little birdie. I was hoping I was, but I didn't. I'll have to pour it tomorrow morning, 'cause I'm not going to do it tonight. I'll show you that bowl. That cup is just completely empty. It's good to have 3 cups, one for the A, one for the B, and 1 cup to mix it in. That way you know your measurements are correct, because these throwaway cups, you don't know if they're correctly marked, because the 1-to-1 resin, you want to stand it up on the table and there's your finished piece, and it's coming out of the mold now. Just watch close. I did spray it with mold release. I'm sorry I'm so close to the screen, but you want to see what's coming up. It's the detail in this mold is so pretty. I mean, this tray, the music notes came out so pretty. Thank you, Brandy, for sending that paper to me. It made this tray so pretty. I can't wait for all the comments. Please leave a comment, share this video, like the video, comment, subscribe if you like the video. There it goes. That's the back. See, I don't even have to sand it. It was so soft. It filled that mold up. Look at that. Look at the detail in that mold. That glitter just filled up them little spots. And I'm going to put it close up so you can see it. I'm going to bring it closer. And that's the level tray that I bought. And it keeps stuff level. If you pour resin, look at the detail in that paper. It just, and you can't see when you use the water brush, you cannot see that I put 2 pieces of paper in there. You can't see it. Look how close I'm getting. I wanted you to see that. You cannot see I used 2 pieces of paper. And you cannot see the edges of the rice paper on the edges either. I can't wait. And there's the back. Look how pretty that is. That rice paper has got fibers in it, and if you mess up and cut it too small, you can iron it with just a dab of water, and it sticks it to itself. Just iron it